Good morning, everyone. Yay. I remember the first time I preached in this space, or spoke, or delivered a message in this space 25 years ago. So it's funny to be back, and I can actually see my younger self standing somewhere over there, feeling just as nervous as I feel today. But today, if you're willing to hear more words, may I talk with you about hamburgers? Sure? Yeah, okay. I don't know, a little while ago, maybe I'm a little bit behind the times. Fancy restaurants were serving deconstructed food. Yeah. So instead of a hamburger, they would put on a plate maybe a bun, a piece of lettuce, a slice of tomato, some kind of patty, and present it, yeah, as a wonderful modernist deconstructed hamburger. And there's something freeing about that, yeah? Because once you deconstruct that hamburger, you can say, well, okay, this bun is going to create this little soft, cushy tenderness in my mouth, but it doesn't have to be this bun. I can go and get some other flavored gluten-free bun instead that's just as fluffy. I don't need lettuce. The lettuce is providing some crispness and freshness. Right? Maybe I can put arugula in. So we have a chance to actually look at each of those individual elements of this hamburger and say, hey, I am free. We are free to kind of mix and match. And it's still going to be a hamburger. And we know why each of those elements are there and why they're essential or not for the experience of a hamburger. Because some of us might like mustard in there and some of us might like ketchup in there, but we may not need either, but we may need something that gives it a little bit of binding or softness. We want some kind of sauce in there. But then it's time to eat. I'm not going to pick up that piece of lettuce by itself and this lovely savory patty by itself. I want it to be a hamburger, whatever that patty may be, because it's that totality that makes it a hamburger, not the individual ingredients. And it may turn out that when we finally get to sit down, relax, and bite into that yummy, juicy thing, that none of those ingredients mattered at all. It's the fact that I'm with people that I love and care about in the outside in front of a fire cooking food, and it's that experience that is actually our experience of a hamburger. Or maybe it's that freedom and independence of being able to hold this piece of food in your hand and keep on driving and get to wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do. Maybe that's your hamburger. And so some have said that Unitarian Universalism is a modernist religion, or rather that our spiritual ancestors were kind of in alignment with these chefs that took this hamburger apart. Because we wanted to take our religious experience apart into its individual pieces and take a look at it and say, is this something that we want to keep permanently? Or is this something of fashion that's transient that we want to let go? Can we maybe let go of authority? Maybe we don't need to stick to a particular specific scripture. Maybe we can discover scriptures wherever we are and all around the world. Maybe we don't even need to stick to a particular teacher. Maybe we can find different teachers. Maybe we can be teachers to each other. Well, how far are we going to go? I think that the Article 2 Study Commission has been given a chance to put some words to this thing that is the Unitarian Universalist hamburger, right? To find some words that concisely and poetically capture something that we can rally around, some words that we can rally around and say, yes, this is a good enough expression of what motivates us. To capture that, that yum, the yes to life that we know is the core of our experience together, the things that makes us come back, that things that says, the thing that makes us says, yes, let's do this again. The thing that says, yes, this is life. And I'm hoping that as the commission and we, with the commission, explore these wordy possibilities, that we will resist the cultural temptation to try to dangle an inspirational, beautiful, shining carrot of a world that we promise, a world that we hope for. This shining carrot that somehow that's just beyond our reach, and somehow reminds us of these little parts of us that are still hungry. And the world that tells us that, well, if you're hungry, just try a little harder, work a little harder to bridge that gap between what is now and what we hope to be. I hope that we will be able to capture that thing that moves us, that's already in us, that helps us go into the world, sort of like an Aikido or a Tai Chi. When the hardships come, we collect it, we process it, and send it out. When the celebrations come, we also collect it and send it out. This red cape and green cape question comes from James Pawelski. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And he's a scholar of positive psychology. And he uses this example of a red cape that stops all bad things, and a green cape that allows us to grow all good things, to illustrate, to explain to people what positive psychology is. Right? The message that he delivers is that, well, we need both capes. We need both capes. And we need, but in particular, we need the green cape to thrive. And also that our evolution primes us to keep reaching for that red cape. So one of the interesting things to me about positive psychology is that it took so long to pop up in academia. It's so easy to understand fear, right? The negative emotions. There's the saber-toothed tiger out there. We need to be afraid so we can run away. We discuss, this tastes awful. I shouldn't eat it. It's probably poisonous. It's really easy to understand why we have negative emotions. But it's amazing how long it took us to recognize why we might have joy right? Why we might have happiness, why we might have love. And now we're finally recognizing is that these emotions allow us to open up and actually take in a larger attention. Instead of focusing on that danger, we get to open up our attention to the whole world. And in that open place, we can actually engage one another rather than isolate ourselves. So I think evolutionarily speaking, I think that the green, we actually had green pajamas. That's what we wore. If we could, we'd stay in our green pajamas. And when the emergency alarm went off, we would throw on that red cape and save the day. In this Edenic past of our evolutionary ancestors, you basically, you wake up, you keep those green pajamas on, emergency comes up, put the red cape on, deal with the emergency. At the end of the day, you would take it off. And then maybe you would take turns watching over each other so everyone could get a deep, restful sleep. Sadly, I don't think that describes our daily lives anymore. This habit of being able to reach for that red cape is not serving us well in this post-agricultural world, this world in which we can hoard resources, this world in which we can build empires and record our histories and freeze our culture. It's so easy to put on that red cape and never take it off because the emergencies keep coming. But what's interesting about positive psychology is that it's not really about the red cape or the green cape. It's about being able to choose the red cape when appropriate and the green cape when appropriate. It's actually about the space that allows us to choose an appropriate response to the world. And so I think of this space as a blue space. In many cultures, and I am not a linguistic scholar, so I don't know, but apparently the word blue comes in later than the names for other colors. And I think it's because it's sort of the background color that we just don't notice it, right? The sky is blue. I can imagine being Bob Ross, right? I'm going to take a blank canvas, paint it blue, and then I'm going to draw my puffy white clouds, right? I'm going to take a blue canvas and then draw these silver lines that define the crest of a wave. And what's funny is that in Japanese, there's a word ao. Ao means blue, but it also means green. And I share this with you because I think the blue and the green are kind of the same thing. Right? In Japanese, we call green vegetables blue. And I think it's because as we pull ourselves away from those green vegetables and start imagining the fields of rice, and then we pull ourselves even further back and we see the temperate and alpine forests. And as the sky kind of filters in and creates this haze around it, it looks bluer and bluer and bluer until we finally can see the frame, which is the blue sky around it. I'm hoping that some of these images might stick with you so that we can remember that the blue cape practices are linked with this blue space in which we're capable of choosing it. What I value about the UUA board's charge to the Article 2 Study Commission is that they went ahead and said, love is it. It frees us from someone saying, well, this is what's important, and someone here saying, well, that's what's important. We get to be free of that for a moment and just say, what moves us? How do we move through this space that we live in? How do we love? How do we love one another and the world? And there's a danger to naming one thing, right? This love. It's dangerous to have a label, to describe something so complex and profound, to describe something that is not only a birthright of each and every person, but a fundamental need that our society so often denies so many of us. Because here comes that shiny, sparkly carrot that someone calls love and tries to manipulate us from our places of pain. To use inspirational words, there are so many definitions of love out there that the word, we might as well just say the kind, right? It feels almost safer to just say the kind because we're probably communicating, right? The kind thing that's you, the kind thing that brings us together, that's probably just communicating just as much information as saying it's love that brings us together. But it's helpful to be explicit sometimes, because there are so many definitions of love out there, and there's so many ways. And in the dominant culture, people have lived with a definition of love that said, yes, parents can torture and kill their children for the sake of love. That is not our love. And so it really matters that we do this exercise of trying to be explicit, good enough explicit, to put our definition out into the world. How do we love each other? How do we love the world? I think it's tempting, very tempting, to say that, well, the red cape, that is our commitment to justice. And the green cape, that is our commitment to love. But maybe there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That works. I think it works for a lot of us. Because love can signify both those specific acts of kindness and beauty, but also the character of the space from which we can choose our actions. To get that courage to confront evil, to create justice, to create more love in this world. I want to think together as we dwell in this space that we shall call love. How will we pick up our red cape? How will we pick up our green cape? Because without love, would we pick up either? There's one more danger of choosing love, is that when we love the world and we love each other, our hearts will be broken. Our hearts will be broken again and again. But we can also heal. we can also heal again and over again. And so it's funny how the readings that we do, the words that we share, come back to us again and again. And so I'd like to offer you as a closing of my message today, beyond the choice of red cape and green cape, there is a blue-green field where we can gather, a place that is wide open to the whole universe. And that is our home. And that too is love. Thank you. I'm going to cry. Thank you for being here 25 years ago when I was looking for a place to learn how to love. And thank you for still being here.